welcome back to We Watch a Movie. I'm Mike, he's Jay, and I said, God damn!
It's been a while.
These Rotten Tomatoes reviews are fucking stanky!
What's that, brother? They're wrong?
Let me say something real quick here. We did, this is a reaction video to the Suicide Squad, Rotten Tomatoes reaction. We did one of these for Batman vs. Superman, and it was the first one that we did. And we turned on the camera and we saw the reviews for the first time, and we were really, really psyched about this movie. And when we saw all the nasty reviews for it, we hadn't seen the movie yet, but our intent was not to bash people who had seen the movie that we hadn't even seen yet, but we were so butthurt deep down inside of our cockles that we got upset. We started making fun of people and joking around, and some people took that the wrong way, and you know what, you're right, we haven't seen the movie yet, so we can't really knock these people for how they feel. So we're going to switch it up a little bit here, and we're just going to talk about what they say.
My butt was raw.
There's actually a petition now to shut down Rotten Tomatoes because of the DC reviews. Because they did the same thing with Man of Steel. We loved it. They did the same thing with Batman vs. Superman. We loved it. They're doing the same thing with Suicide Squad. We don't know yet. Maybe they're right this time. Who knows? But the thing is that it seems like with DC movies, the whole sentiment is just like, oh, it's not fucking funny enough. It's not bright enough. It's not Marvel. It sucks dick.
I don't want to get too deep with you, but I'm going to go deep with you. Let's have a fun. Let's take the rubber gloves on and go deep in this. I want to say really fast, the reason why I think that this is happening right now is because with DC movies and what they're generally representing, they're just representing, yeah, it's dark times and it's like, it's kind of over the top. It's not over the top, but it's more gritty and more grounded in realism versus like something like Marvel, which is more fun and energetic and high up in the clouds, which is fine. I still like Marvel movies, but it feels like because this movie is not saying something, you know, it's not got a socio-political platform to say something. These fuckers get on there that are all about wanting to have a movie to say something spectacular and good about today's world, and if it doesn't, then they fucking hate it. It's like, it goes nowhere, the plot's ridiculously stupid, it does nothing, it goes itself in the ground. Like, because it doesn't say anything, it has no platform to say anything, because it's just a fucking movie about superheroes that are having fun. Like, that's what it's supposed to be about.
And on the other hand, the only thing that gets me with it, and I still don't agree with the reviews on the other two big DC movies that are out there, I still don't agree with what they said about them. I don't agree that it should be more Marvel, I don't agree that it should be more funny. It's DC, it's a different thing. Stop fucking going to a DC movie wanting a Marvel movie. We already have Marvel. That's a whole thing. But here's the thing, is that everyone's fighting and they're up in arms about this, but you gotta look at this. I think Suicide Squad is gonna be the first movie out of these movies that people are saying, okay, every single DC movie that comes out from the main critics, it gets slammed. So this time, now that everybody realizes that this is the third time it's happened, the fan reaction, the audience reaction is what's going to affect the box office with this, because everybody expects at this point for critics to hate DC movies. And look at the audience scores for these movies. Look at the audience scores for these movies. A lot of times, audiences have way different opinions than critics do. Yeah. Critics love Tree of Life, audiences hate it. Critics love Ghostbusters, it's got a negative audience score on there. There's a lot of times where the critics' reviews do not at all reflect how the general movie-going audience feels. So the people who take the critics' reviews and act like it's the word of God sketched in stone, this movie sucks because Rotten Tomatoes says it sucks, you're just wrong. And I'm alright with them having two different opinions. If Rotten Tomatoes wants to have an opinion and then the fans feel differently, that's okay. That's the way it should be. I think people should just be honest about how they feel about a movie, but just because Rotten Tomatoes says a movie's good or bad doesn't mean that that's the word of God, that it is. We've got to make our own decisions.
But the problem is, though, is Rotten Tomatoes is so giant, it's so big on the internet, and just, it's on the lips of almost anybody they talk about a movie review site, that they're going to go there. Yes, they don't employ these people, but they do have them represent, in a way, Rotten Tomatoes. So if they're going to go on there and see that shit, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, this movie sucks, I'm not going to go sue it. And they're costing these other studios that they put out good products, they're costing millions of dollars because some people just wholeheartedly believe everything that Rotten Tomatoes has to say, or as far as those critics go. I mean, for example, I actually love The Pest. I thought The Pest was one of the funniest fucking movies I've ever seen with John Leguizamo, and it's got like a fucking 8%.
And I don't expect critics to like that movie.
Yeah, but it's hilarious.
But the thing is, The Pest isn't a divisive thing. DC is a divisive thing. Yeah. So these people, I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like, I think that at the end of the day, I'm alright if critics don't like a movie and an audience loves a movie, but let's look at it as that. Okay, the critics hate it, but the audience loves it, so it's a fucking success. It's a success if the audience likes the movie.
DC, like that's not what like these critics don't understand. These artsy-fartsy fuckers that sit there and drink their wine and listen to Mozart while they're in their underwear thinking about things like fucking Norman Bates would, that DC and these other comic book movies, they're made for fucking fans. They're made for general audiences. They're not made to be super political, and they're not made to be something like out of this world, crazy artsy.
They're not made to be Marvel.
They're not made to be like that. I mean, they're just fun fucking movies that they can't just enjoy and say it's a good movie, it's good for that, it's good for this, but they have to go and make it something else. That's a complete misrepresentation of them being critics.
And so basically what we're saying is that critics' views a lot of times are not going to align with audience reviews. So when it comes to DC movies, guys, we got to separate that fact. Rotten Tomatoes is allowed to have the thought that they want. Those critics are allowed to say and feel what they want. The problem is with people acting like that's the word of God. So with that being said, let's go through the Rotten score. Dude, if you look back into the history of movie criticism, generally, before superhero movies got huge, and before Marvel had all these huge, successful, both critically and box office films, before that happened, typically a film would come out, and a lot of times if it was dumb, if it was Wayne's World, if it was just stupid shit that was meant for fun, classically, critics would hate it, and fans would love it. It's still the same thing, but people are trying to act like it's not now. So let's see what critics say about it. Mick LaSalle from the San Francisco Chronicle, top critic, gave it a rotten score, and he says, if you know someone you really can't stand, not someone you dislike, not someone who rubs you the wrong way, but someone you really loathe and detest, send that person a ticket for Suicide Squad. So there's not much to go off of there. He's not really saying why. He's just saying it.
That's fucking pure hate.
He's saying it really fucking hated.
I wonder what got up in it. Well, who's shitting his cornflakes?
A.O. Scott from the New York Times, top critic, says...
He's a top critic?
It says top critic.
You know, he went to fucking word print, just said top critic.
Rotten Tomatoes it's gave it a rotten score. Suicide Squad is a so-so off-peak superhero movie. It chases after the nihilistic swagger of Deadpool and the anarchic whimsy of Guardians of the Galaxy, but trips over its own feet. The only problem I have with what he's saying is that can we stop the Marvel comparisons? Right there, Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't like that.
But Deadpool's not really in the same line of Marvel.
Of course, but he is saying that, like, and I could see what he's saying, possibly.
I'm alright with that review. Like, that review seemed a little honest. He was talking about that it was trying to do two different things and it kind of got lost in its own shuffle.
That could go back to the reshoots.
Yeah, I'm alright with that. That wasn't that bad. I mean, that actually seemed like a fair criticism of the movie, but the other ones are just seem like they're fucking being assholes about it.
Tony Hicks from San Jose Mercury News, another top critic, gave it a fresh score. Says, it will be interesting to see where DC takes these characters after the semi-delightful mess that is Suicide Squad. But for now, just enjoy the sloppy and wild ride.
That's what I like. I think that's exactly what this movie will be. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be as fucking completely, toned and tuned as most people expect other movies to be like. It's going to be a little crazy and weird and a lot of things are going on. And that's okay. You can take a hot mess and make it something great. And that's probably what it is.
And it sounds like
like Gumbalaya.
Yeah, a lot of the reviews,
Jambalaya.
A lot of the stuff I've seen for this, it seems like people are saying it's choppy, it's sloppy, the editing's terrible, and that's scary and that sucks if that's true. But what this guy's saying is, and I hope I align with his interests, is that it is choppy, it is sloppy, but it's still a fun superhero movie, and that's what I'm hoping I get out of this.
You can have those quirky kind of movies, which I think it probably will be, which is okay.
David Edelstein, New York Magazine /Vulture, top critic, says, rotten score. He just says,
so his name's the Vulture. We already know he's a villain.
He works for the Vulture magazine.
Let's say. Okay.
Do you think his name was David Edelstein, New York Magazine Vulture?
Yeah, I thought he had like a road nickname called the Vulture. He's like, "Where's Spider-Man?"
He doesn't say much in his little blurb. These are just the blurbs from him, guys. We don't have a fucking day. It says.
There you go.
This year's most muddled piece of storytelling. So again, he's saying the storytelling's choppy and the editing's terrible, which there are rumors that there was several editors, that the editing was a mess. There's rumors that there was two different versions of the movie, that the studio wanted the lighter version. They added all this music on top of it. They wanted it to be more Marvel-ish. That's a scary fucking thought.
Well, there's other movies that have been shown before that have been kind of a jumbled up kind of mess, but it still turned out pretty well. I mean, if you look at, what was it? I thought, for me always, I don't know why I always did, but I always felt like it was kind of a jumbled up kind of movie, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I didn't think it was an amazing movie, but I thought it was pretty good. It was Batman Returns. It felt weird. Yeah. Like, it just felt kind of jumbled up, and the editing was kind of weird as far as like how they shot the certain scenes, and they were trying to go for that weird gothic thing.
That's a great point.
So this feels like, and that was, so basically, Batman,
strange yet lovable intrigue.
Yeah, it was still a good movie. As much as it was weird, yeah, it goes, I played this town like a harp from hell. Like, there's a lot of things about that movie that was weird, but it was still good.
Dustin Putman from thefilmfile.com gave it a 1 out of 4 original score. He says, in terms of promise it held and the folly of what has found its way to the screen, Suicide Squad is easily one of 2016's most disappointing films. So this guy apparently had some real excitement for this movie. He thought it was going to be great. That's one thing I wanted to talk about too, because more than Batman vs. Superman and more than Man of Steel, I actually had reservations about Suicide Squad going in. I was hoping it was going to be great. I was really excited about it, but I don't like the look of the Joker. We've talked about that. I don't like the tattoos and stuff, but I've let go of it. I'm willing to move past it. But I also think it is a stacked cast. There's a lot of shit going on in this movie. I think David Ayers is a really, really good director, and sometimes he does a great job, but sometimes he goes too far with, like, I'm talking about the movie that he directed, Sabotage. That was was terrible. It was like Rob Zombie-ish now. Every character was over the top, trying to be tough. Sometimes his style seeps too much into the movies that he does, but then like End of Watch, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I was worried a little bit about David Ayer. I was worried about the reshoots, about them going back and trying to
that
make
was
it
a rumor.
comedic. Yeah, but I was worried about the editing. Some of the stuff, I had a lot of concerns for this movie. So, and it sounds like this guy was really excited going in. So,
yeah, I get what he's saying, but you know what? And you're right. I'm the same way. Suicide Squad to me has always been a big question mark with an asterisk by it. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, look, I know they went back and they did these reshoots, and I don't like that. Because at first I thought it was going to be kind of a darker tale that's ever been told before. I thought they were actually going to go darker than Batman vs Superman, and really get into that almost rated
but then
R.
you got the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer.
Then they recut the whole thing, and then it becomes a different kind of thing. But I know what he's saying as far as like,
which looked fun.
Yeah, it does look fun, but I mean, I thought it was going to be like that dark thing and then have a couple of comedic elements in it, but then, overall be just a dark
Apparently,
tale.
his original take was very, very somber, and then the studio saw the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer, and they said, hey, no, take your footage and make it like that trailer. And that's where the reshoots came from.
Here's the thing. You remember when he did End of Watch? End of Watch is a very fucking dark tale. Very, very dark movie. But there are comedic moments in it between Jake Gyllenhaal and his partner. I thought it'd be like something like that. Which I think if that was the original tone and he changed it for them, that's bullshit. Even after they got the hate for the Batman and they were scared. But yeah, it is a question.
Never a smart idea to let studios interfere. Yeah. I mean, it may not have been up to him or whatever. But Nell Minow from Beliefnet. Actually, it just says Beliefnet.
Yeah.
I just figured it was fucking fancier.
There it is.
Gave it a fresh score. A nice ray of sunshine in the bleak hope of the darkness.
It's very dark in here.
Margot Robbie is a huge movie star who owns this film, and every moment she's on screen in Suicide Squad. And you get your money's worth and then some. So, vastly fucking different.
Yeah.
You go from a 0 point, this movie deserves to be fucked in the butt with a toothpick.
How does that happen?
A really tiny, sharp toothpick.
Why don't you say get shanked? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I know.
Who fuck you
I get
with a toothpick?
specific in my analogies and explanations. But yeah, she says Margot Robbie's amazing. That's the first time I've seen her mention these issues. That's
Margot
great.
Robbie does. I mean, Margot Robbie was awesome in Wolf of Wall Street. So.
Yeah. Vincent Mancini from Film Drunk. That's an awesome website name. It's like Batman Returns meets Papa Roach.
Weird. There you go.
I like this guy. Vincent Mancini. Let's do karate in the garage. He says a transparently skin-deep superhero sizzle reel. That's kind of refreshing when every other comic book movie is trying to guide you through the metaphoric levels. He's saying it's kind of original. I dig that.
You know what I like? You know what he's saying to me when I heard that? It sounds to me like he's saying they didn't go so deep in it that they're trying to make some kind of weird philosophical connection. When he's saying it's skin deep, it's just like, hey, these guys are bad guys, taking it at face value. They don't have this emotional anchor, a lot of them, and they're just doing it because they like doing bad and evil things. That's what they are. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Like, that's all right.
Some people look at it, oh, this is a shallow pool, and I say, let's make that bitch into a slip and slide.
Yeah,
right?
Let's get on it.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Sprinklers. Mike Scott from Times Picayune says, a fresh score, who's to say messy can't also be fun? That's what I'm hoping for! That's exactly what I'm hoping for. This is divisive, man. You got one side of people saying, all these problems ruin the fucking movie, and then you have another side of people going, but it's still fucking fun!
But what's the overall score of it? It's rotten though, right? Because there's a lot more rotten than fresh.
Yeah, but that's the critics. I think the audience, I'm hoping that the audience, that the movie transpires to the audience as a way of, audiences can see the fun and stuff most critics can't sometimes. So the last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to look at the critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes, the overall put together lines that they say, and see how we feel about it. Critic consensus: Suicide Squad boasts a talented cast, yes, and a little more humor than previous DCEU efforts.
Don't care.
But they aren't enough to save the disappointing end result from a muddled plot, thinly written characters, and choppy directing.
Okay, again, I don't know what they're like. Listen, the thinly written character part. I think that the guy that said it best when he's like, "It's just skin deep." That's what it's supposed to fucking be like. We can't go back. They're not like they are. Like Will Smith described it best, and which I never thought I'd say, but he did at that comment video. He said it's bad versus evil. I don't want to go see a movie about villains like this and worry about. Well, I wonder if I'm going to feel sympathy for them. I wonder. I'm not going to see it for that. I'm going to see it. I want to see some bad guys get shit done. Play Bohemian Rhapsody in the background. Have the Joker pop in and Batman and fuck shit up. That's what I want to see.
So let me ask you this. Do, overall opinion, because we haven't seen the movie yet, but do these critic reviews scare you at all?
No. I never worry about movie critics. I never do. If the audience was coming out and saying it was shit, if the audience score was low, and they were saying it's a shit movie, like it's disappointing and whatever, I'd be worried. I'm not worried about these artsy-fartsy movie critics. I never did.
I get what you're saying there, and for me, I think some movie critics are fantastic. I think they do a great job, and you're going to disagree. Just because you disagree about a movie doesn't mean someone's an asshole. That being said, when it comes to DC, these critics it's not just like the movie's okay, it's a 6 out of 10, it could have been better, it was a little bit disappointing. There's never that middle road with these people.
Vile.
With these 3 movies, the problem is that it's been, it's a fucking piece of dog shit, you should kill your children rather than watch it. I mean, it's just fucking vile hatred, and I don't understand it. And what really gets my gears in a gander is when they fucking compare every goddamn thing DC does to Marvel. The fucking humor. The humor, if anything, I'm worried the humor in this movie is going to be a problem. I'm worried that the humor in this is going to be too much and it's going to be forced. But the one positive thing from a lot of these Rotten Tomatoes reviews is saying, hey, at least there's a little bit of humor, but it still sucks. And it's like, DC seems like they're bending over backwards to please the unpleasable. Meanwhile, these people are sitting going, oh, thanks for doing that. I knew I'd get you to do it. Your movie still sucks.
That's what I was talking about earlier. The hypocrisy is ridiculous. Yeah. It's fucking strong. The force is strong in this one. And I meant, when I said the humor, you're right. When it seems forced, it's because it's not organic. If you're not letting them fucking write a movie that they think, when the writer's writing a movie, and they're writing and it's going good and everything's flowing well and it's going to be a great movie, and they're like, it's got to be more funny, then he's got to force some shit in there that's not going to be funny. We're
seeing it tomorrow night, and here's what I'm scared about. What I'm scared about is the fact that they made it PG-13, that maybe they're not going to be able to take these villains to the dark.
That's what I want.
It'd still be fun and crazy, but it should be a little bit weird, and you should walk that line of morality, like, should I be rooting for this guy? I don't know, this is kind of crazy.
What does that say about me?
You should walk that line a little bit, and you should feel that, and I feel like if they're trying to make Guardians of the fucking Galaxy 2 here, you're not going to get that, and they're going to miss a big opportunity on what could have been a special film. I'm not worried about what the critics are saying because, in my opinion, most of them have been wrong about DC movies so far. And the last thing I'll say is, okay, that's how you guys feel about it. And when we do our review in a couple days, I will make my judgment then on whether or not these people are being way too picky. But that's been the case so far. That's all I'm saying.
I think that this movie is going to be a pretty decent movie. I'm not lying. I don't think that it's going to be something that's like phenomenal or spectacular. No, it's not going to be. But if they were smart, if they had done something better than what they would have just given the big middle finger to these fucking critics that sit there and say that everything has to fit in this box. They're taking these studios and they're telling them, you are only going to be able to make this kind of movie because we say so, and not what the fucking audience wants, not what the fans that read these comic books, that love these characters, that want these film franchises to survive and grow. DC is a flailing cinematic universe trying to survive in the shadow of Marvel. And they're not getting any help or support at all from these critics.
At the same time, it's stupid as fuck if they go in here and they try to make these movies Marvel movies, because they're not supposed to be. They should never be. You shouldn't listen to the critics. You should listen to the fans. And that's all I have to say. So basically, my final assumption is this. The reviews are out. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't say if they're right or if they're assholes or if they're wrong. All I have to say is this. We're really suspicious. And we'll find out tomorrow night. I love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in you.